Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. It's been a very long periodical time. I feel like I say that every time I do a video on my YouTube channel. But for real though, it's been a minute and I have a lot of updates. And I also, I came across this video the other day that was like basically regarding your late 20s. Shout out to one of my best friends, Miss Emily. She sent that over to me, and the girl was yapping away regarding your late 20s, and that's what this video is going to be about today, because historically, if you go through my YouTube channel, that's what the fuck I do. I just yap about whatever is on my mind. My 29th birthday, which is so crazy for many reasons. And I also kind of wanted to touch on that too, like a moment to kind of talk a little bit about Saturn returns as well, because I need everybody watching this, especially if you are a 20-something, like an early 20-something, please listen up and listen clearly. Because if there's one thing that I pride myself on as a human being, is just keeping it a bean and keeping it a buck with whoever I come across in life. And so consider this like your big sister speaking to you via YouTube or whatever device you're on. Because so Saturn returns essentially, or your Saturn return, if you will, is something that is said to take place from the years. Oh, hold on, am I zoomed in? You guys, oh, there we go. What's it called? It's said to take place in your late 20s, transitioning into your 30s. And let me tell you, it is a very, let's look up the definition, shall we? Let's look up the definition, and I'll have that up here for you guys. Typically, the period when the planet Saturn returns to the same position in the sky occupied at the time of a person's birth, typically occurring around the late 20s or early 30s. It is often seen as a time of major life changes and a call to take responsibility. Again, there is going to be another Saturn return that takes place. Oh my God, I don't understand why he keeps on doing this. There is another Saturn return that takes place in your 50s as well. And I guess we'll fuck around and find out when I get there. But that's just not the case currently. Currently, I am 28 years going on 29 years. Okay, so again, late 20s, early 30s. So again, interpret that however you will. And it has to do, like, your Saturn return will take place essentially when your planet, like whatever placement you have, which you guys, again, this, oh my goodness, there's so much to say, and I want to be able to condense it and say it all in one video so you guys do not just have to hear me talking forever. But essentially, like, I'll kind of tell you guys how I came to this realization. So since 2023, okay, that is when I turned 27. Okay, I am 28 currently. And again, the years it lasts, your Saturn return lasts, I believe mine is from 2023 to 2026. So a total of 3 years. And again, it's towards your late 20s, early 30s. And it won't commence until until like the planets do their thing and return, you know what I'm saying? Because essentially the planets stay in a place for a very long time, you know what I mean? So currently, if your placement in Saturn in your birth chart is Pisces, you are going through your Saturn return. So that was my case. And again, and shout out to my best friends if they're watching this, because bro, like when I tell you I have been going through it these past few years, and again, mind you, this is like the late 20s situation we'll get to towards the end of this video as well. But I literally was like, bro, what the fuck is going on? Because again, life be lifing all the time, you guys. It doesn't matter. This is not an excuse to say like, oh my God, life is so hard and whoop. Like, no, life is hard, period. Okay, like we're just vibing and thriving and trying to do our best. But life is gonna be hard at every age, like, to be honest. Every single age has its joys, has its pitfalls, has its difficulties, and you just kind of keep moving forward, right? You're still striving, trying to, slay the day and move forward and try to obtain the goals and the aspirations and the desires that your little heart and soul has. Okay, so that is just life, right? However, I was like, yo, like this is, I've been through trials and tribulations, okay, many of them in my lifetime. And it was just trial and tribulating a little bit too much. Like, and I was, for me to be like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Because this is not regular. So I started kind of doing some research on my own, and then boom. And mind you, my mom, she's hella into astrology as well. She had told me like regarding this, like she told me like when I turned 27, like she was like, hey, like there's a really rough period like towards the end of your 20s that you go through, yada yada yada. Mind you, this is when I was turning 27. So this is back in 2020. Yeah, 2023. So March 2023, mind you, that if you check, like literally Google that shit, when Saturn went into Pisces, it was March 2023, which happens to be my birth month and the year that my Saturn return started. So again, 1 + 1 was equaling 2, you guys. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is crazy. So as I started to kind of dive deeper into it, again, this is something that is pretty regular that everybody goes through, but it's just a period. Like, if you think your life is challenging, like you're gonna fuck around and find out, and it's gonna get even more challenging. And again, the amount of things, we will dive into them eventually, like I said, because I just don't know what I feel comfortable sharing on the internet that won't backfire on me, just because again, I have a problem with being vulnerable on the internet, even though I still somehow still overshare a bit, if you will, on my channel. However, when we get there. But again, the point is like your Saturn return is just, in like long story short, it's just a very, very difficult period in your late 20s. The good news is that it does commence, and you come out on the other side of things just like 10 trillion times like stronger. Like, I'm a pretty like resilient human being. I feel like even my name like is a resilient name, and it like a goddess warrior vibes or whatever, and I really do feel like I'm like that in my daily life. I am a very resilient person, and like whatever life throws at me, I'm pretty sure I can get through. You know, and there's been a lot of difficult things that I'm like, damn, like wow. And I also have really good people around me, of course, but yeah, so there's that. And I are pushing your late 20s, please go check that birth chart. Go check that birth chart. I will leave relevant links down below for you to be able to do that. You really, the biggest things about your birth chart, which I did a video on this years ago, is that you just need to know the birth time and the place. That is the biggest determination of like your birth chart for sure. So make sure you got those 2 things and you'll be cool. And you need to see like when, like what placement you have in Saturn. Okay, let's get into the late 20s now. All right, so your late 20s, bro. Your late 20s. Okay, let's kind of get into the 20s period. Hold on. Ooh, because I mean, why not? I'm commencing my 20s. I'm going into my last year of my 20s. So bro, first of all, your early 20s, like who you are at the beginning of your 20s is not who you are at the end of your 20s. Like I just want to make that so immensely clear to whoever is watching this. Like, please know that whoever you are in your early 20s is not going to be the same person that you are in your late 20s. Like when you hit that 27, 28, 29, even 26. I feel like 26, 27, 28, and 29 are very intense years. And before that, I feel like it's just like, even your mid-20s are still like, you're just fucking around, like it's still a vibe, like you're not really, life is getting serious, but it's not like, it's still fun, if you will. And not to say that it's not fun in your late 20s, because I feel like I've had a time in between all of the trials and tribulations, but it just gets more intense towards your late 20s, because you are like, you really are getting, of course, if you're doing the work especially, like you are really digging deep to like who you are, what your life purpose and what your life means to you, and like where you're going. key on where you're going and how you're gonna fucking get there. Because it's, again, everybody that is in their 30s, they always talk about how your 30s are like your 20s, just a little bit more established, and you have a little bit more money, and you're more like into your career or whatever it is that you're doing. Which I've heard that so much throughout my 20s. So again, I'm sure that that's real, and I'm sure that when I get there, I will be able to report live. But I'm still technically I'm going into my last year of my 20s, so I can only speak for my 20s. But again, like the beginning of your 20s, it's kind of like you're a little lost, not anxiety, but just like anxiously waiting to be of age, at least in the US, obviously, because like the drinking age is different in other places. But like, for example, me, again, growing up in Cali and shit, like as soon as I hit 20, I was like, oh my god, like I need to hit 21 now. I couldn't even tell you guys what my 20th year was like. I don't recall. Like, it's really just a blur. I'm sure I was at 18 and up clubs somewhere vibing or whatever. But I just remember like anxiously waiting to be 21. And then it's like you hit 21 and you're like, okay, cool. Like this means that, you know, 22, I can hit up the clubs and I can hit up the bars and this, that, and the third. And then you hit 23 and then you're just kind of like, okay, like I can still hit up the clubs, I can still hit up the bars. And then you hit 24 and you're like, I don't know, like I don't really care to go to a club. Like let's just go to a bar. And then you start just going to bars. And then, not to say that this is all you do in your 20s, because we're not condensing this only to partying, but I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about how you progress, because you get over shit so quickly. Like there's just no way that the shit that I was doing at 21, I'm gonna be a 28-year-old, almost 29-year-old doing the same shit. There's just no way. And you'll see that when you get there. But yeah, you're just kind of like, you know, moving and grooving along. And then you hit 25. 25 is I wish I could be 25 forever. 25 was such a lit year. Like I can't express how 25 feels until you get there. Like 25 is such a vibe, and like you may be broke, you may not be, you may be, you know what I'm saying, whatever, but it's like I don't know, you're just more getting into the groove of things. You feel that's the most 20 something you'll feel ever. Like I don't know, I loved 25, even though did COVID hit? No, COVID had hit 2020 when I was 24, and then 2021, that's when I turned 25. But yeah, so whatever, 25 is cool. Boom, now you're in the thick of it. Okay, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the video about my Saturn return and all this other shit. Like when you start hitting 26, like ain't shit funny. 27 ain't shit funny. 28, shit really ain't funny. And 29, I'm gonna find out, but I'm sure it's still not gonna be funny. So because that's what your late 20s are giving you guys. Like it just gets so serious so quickly. And like again, you've had career shifts and all types of things. Like again, me starting off, and I did a whole video on this, on how I transitioned. Well, I didn't do a video on transitioning from like social work into marketing, but like you are taking the risk to move into like whatever career that you're trying to do for real. And like it's just the time to take action. It's always a time to take action in life, but that's neither here nor there. But especially in your 20s, like get the fuck out there and do what you got to do. And again, I do not regret one thing, which that is what I'm so grateful for. Like definitely stand on business, stand on whatever choices that you make. But it starts getting serious, dude. Like I feel like 27 just sounds so serious, and then 28 sounds so serious. 29, like the age just sounds serious. Like you need to be locked in at those ages. Like this is not, you're not 22 anymore, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's really the only way I could describe the 20s, and how much you kind of like period in my life ever. Like I thought my teens or whatever, like no, like your 20s are such a pivotal like era in your life. And so like it really just defines like where you're going. Like the direction of your life and just who you are in general. So yeah, if you're in your late 20s, like just know like you're not alone. And or if you're scared of your late 20s, like do not be scared of it, because like regardless, you're gonna have to go through it. Like that's just, it is what it is. Like everybody has to go through this. Clearly, like it's not something that you can escape. Not even the stars are letting you escape it because they got a whole Saturn return lined up for you. So yeah, just kind of like know that shit does get better for real eventually. Like it's kind of like when there's a storm and then the storm literally passes and then it's like all pretty and there's like flowers and you know everything is blooming. Like that's honestly how it feels. And as someone, I'm not talking here just to talk, like I'm talking from a place of someone that has gone through it and has lived through her 20s and has so much more to live, obviously. But yeah, this shit ain't no joke. But yeah, I hope this video was informative in some way, shape, or form about your 20s and about Saturn returns, because again, I just want everybody to be informed on this and to kind of like at least being informed about it will give you a sense of peace to know that like you're not the only person going through this, and it can be transformative, but it's not detrimental, or it's not gonna, you know, like it's sink or swim, but you're gonna be able to swim and get through it. So yeah, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah.